One of the things we have, and I've made really an effort to go out of my way and look for small businesses that have been heavily affected by Brexit, because they were always going to be the ones who were affected by Brexit. We've said this, I don't know how many times on the channel. We've covered example after example after example from things like the Clooney Lace company, most recent high profile example that got a lot of attention, to a birdseed company in Doncaster that got next to no attention when they were facing massive Brexit pressures, to the myriad of other companies that have suffered from Brexit that we've never had the opportunity to report on because they haven't spoken out about it. And I would say this: if you are a small business, an SME, and you are having problems with Brexit, openly and publicly speak about it. Don't be afraid about highlighting the damages that Brexit has done to your business. Because we're going to go over, once again, one such example again today of a small business that has been affected by Brexit. Now, I will always reiterate that when we're in the EU, small businesses could grow into the EU as if it was their home market, because you could sell as easily as to someone in London as you could to in Frankfurt, in Paris, in Madrid, very easily, because it was as if it was your home market. And this allowed UK businesses, and especially SMEs, to really grow. And unfortunately, that has now been cut off from them. So they are, as we have said many times, not just losing money from having no more EU customers, but are having to pay massive expenses that they did not have to pay before. And we're going to see that once again in this example, because again, I think this needs highlighting as always. But before we do go into that, first of all, the Henningham, I think that's how you say it, hopefully I'm getting it right, the Henningham Family Press, they are an absolutely fantastic business. So if you like what you see, and even if you do live in the UK, or maybe you live outside the UK, please do give them business. Go and support businesses like this, as we've always said on this channel. Small businesses do make up, or SMEs do make up, the vast majority of businesses here in the UK, and they do need your support now more so than ever. So please do go out and support those people. But as always, please do remember to click on the like and share button. Like I say, that always helps. And of course, as always, down below, there are links to my Patreon page. There's a link to my Buy Me Coffee link where you can, well, buy me coffee. There's the YouTube thank you button. And of course, there's the Pony Club as well. And of course, it's Wednesday, so remember, it is Pony Club video today for the Pony Clubbers and, of course, the Patreon members as well. That will be coming out in a bit if it's not out already. So, as always, thank you very much to everyone who does help support the channel. Even if you do, just click the like and share button. It all helps. So, today we're going to talk about this Twitter thread that I saw from the Henningham Family Press, just explaining the cost that Brexit is bringing to their business. Because if you are a big multinational company, or at least a big company who had previous experience with exporting, then you have at least been able to deal with these Brexit related issues, or at least absorb some of the costs. I've always said, a friend of mine who did work for quite a they weren't a big multinational company, but they were sort of big manufacturing company, and they were able to at least absorb that cost. But he went from doing needs to go to somewhere in Germany, boom, there you go, easy, to having to do 2 hours of extra paperwork that he did not have to do before. So there is always a cost. And of course, as we've said before, that paperwork does cost a fair chunk of money, even if you, as we will see in a moment, sending one-off individual packages as well. So we're going to go over this thread because, again, I think it really does highlight the costs of Brexit and what it is doing damage-wise to many business here. So this is, of course, the Henningham Family Press with their what happened here. So we're going to go through this thread. So first of all, Time is money. If it takes twice as long to do something, you earn half as much. This is the brutal fact, the heart of Brexit. So let's Brexit. A £12.99 paperback, blow by blow. You will see what the difference leaving the single market has made. And again, I think this is really important because not enough businesses are really highlighting um, not just the cost of the loss of income, but the extra costs it has added. As you're going to see here, the extra costs it has added just to making um, some of their products and some of their supply chains, and the cost it has added. And again, as we've always said, it's um, it's Brexit that has driven up these costs. So here we go. So a paperback is made of paper, but Britain does not make paper like that. Until recently, we had Sweden, Germany, Germany, Italy, and France to do this for us. Nor are Britons likely to engineer paper soon. Germund is 195 years old. Mulkin is 150. All that paper has to cross the channel. And before January of 2001, paper just took a couple of days to arrive. But now it can take weeks. By 2022, stockpiles were running out. Prices were also going up by 20 to 40%. And this is something that again has to be highlighted, that you saw a lot of companies prior to Brexit stockpiling in this type of in preparation for this. And I think now we can really see that those stockpiles that a lot of companies did do have really run dry. And this is where we are starting to see the costs even more start to add up. Like I say, paper in prices increasing by like 20 to 40% just because of the stockpile has run low. But it continues. So according to the government, this was due to an energy crisis in Europe. But we asked our suppliers. The real cost is paying for the queues of lorries and waiting at the border. Businesses are paying ground rent for trucks parked on the motorway. Last year, sorry, no, there we go. So trucks paid the motorway. So let's print the covers. Last year, we printed covers for 2 books on a standard paper from Italy, from Felgoni, I think that's how you say it, and both times were brought the last 150 remaining sheets in the whole of the United Kingdom. So imagine that. You are a book company who's printing these covers and you bought the last 150 sheets of paper remaining in the United Kingdom. I do not even want to think what the cost would have been just for that order alone. Because I'll tell you now, that would have been, I think, quite an extra cost added to that. So back to it. So here we are printing gold on covers, but Britain doesn't make these foils. They come from South Korea and the USA, but they are imported into the EU before selling onto other member states. And all that has to come from across the channel. So we choose a paper. So shall we choose a paper for our paperback? No, that's the tyranny of choice you endure under the previous Labour governments. These days, we have one paper because it takes 3 months to arrive in Printworks' stockpile. The Printworks still has to raise prices by 20 to 40% since 2021, and this book is getting expensive. And before January of 2021, the Department of International Trade assured us that there would be no customs charges on a £12.99 paperback. They were wrong. Publishers of every size has held emergency meetings just before Christmas of 2020 when we discovered the postage to the EU would simply cease. If neither the customer nor the seller had paid tax on a parcel, Royal Mail would not send it. They could not take all the post to France and bring it straight back again. But how does the tax get paid? And how do customs get notified? For only £2 per parcel, you can use, so again, that's an extra cost. And again, £2 per parcel, if you're sending numerous parcels, that cost can add up pretty quickly. So for only £2 per parcel, you can use the Taxamo pay as you go. But wait, this adds 15% to the costs of the transaction, but that's only a charge for tracking the tax. So the customer is paying £16 for a £12.99 book, and I'm paying £2 just to collect their tax. I can opt to pay their tax for them, and of course, not lose a customer to Amazon, but that means I'm paying £5 to do business. I didn't in 2020. That's a 38% increase. Impossible. So let's try an IOSS agent. This agency will charge about £2,000 a year to collect tax on up to 2,500 packages. That's added 3%. So if we sell over 2,500 books, great. But to break even, we need to be selling over 1,000 books a year into the EU when they could get them cheaper on Amazon. And we've always said this. Why would someone in the EU buy something that's more expensive when they could get it cheaper from somewhere in the EU, which, bear in mind, is a far bigger market? And I've had people on my channel saying all the time that they've made sure not to buy from people in the UK because they know of that tax. If you've been keeping an eye on eBay at the moment, there are a ton of people on eBay complaining that their items are not selling as much as they used to, because you used to have that entire EU market that could look at UK products and said, excellent, I can buy that. Don't have to pay, I'll have to pay the shipping cost extra, but that's fine. But now they're having to pay not only the shipping cost, which has dramatically increased, but also the tax on top of that as well. So you're now seeing like UK eBay go absolutely crazy with the amount of just stuff just stuck on there that would normally people could be able to sell, because people in the EU would look at, oh, that's from the UK, excellent, no problem. But now they're going, oh, it's from the UK, I'd rather not. So that's something else they should bring up at some point, but maybe that's another time for another video. But anyway, back to it. So it's like how a lack of small venue prevents bands from building up a fan base. A big firm like Iron Maiden will survive with higher costs, but how do new businesses, say the Sudan Archives, acquire over 1,000 EU customers? And the simple answer is they don't. I think the simple answer is they don't. They don't. Um, I've said, just as I've said, I think a lot of people are really looking, and especially in Europe, they are looking. And if it's a company based in the UK, they're thinking twice. And this is damaging our economy, because if people aren't buying from us, that means that's a big loss of revenue. But it continues. So at our current export rates, it will cost £37 per £12.99 book merely to collect the VAT. And that is a 280% increase. Think about that. That, at that point, is just purely unsustainable. Why even bother at that point exporting to the EU? And even if you do have an EU customer, you would have to explain to them, look, it might be £12.99, but there's this extra cost. It's the Brexit cost, so to say. You have to pay it. Are they going to buy it? No, they're going to look elsewhere. I guess the government want us to stick to playing spoons down the pub. So here's an elegant solution. If you agree, two kids crammed into a big coat trying to get into the cinema is elegant. Uh, Marketplaces such as eBay and Etsy are sucking up the Westminster damage by lending us their IOSS number. So, okay, let's post £4. It's taken a morning to pack them and print the labels, £70 worth of time. So, again, £4, £70 worth of time. That, again, that's just not sustainable for a small business. It's a simple validation of software that doesn't belong in this four Yorkshireman sketch we call an economy. But it's my own time, so it will only register in the UK's perpetual productivity crisis. Youngsters won't remember just buying a stamp on and drooling on it in a box and dropping it in a box. That was before we realized it was better for us to have a border where we could count all the parcels like a couple of kids with one packet of M&Ms to last them the week. It's March of 2021 and we've posted our four paperbacks. The next game is to guess which one of these four will be returned without explanation despite the paperwork being correct. The software is for softies, isn't the CIS, but it is a crime scene. It wasn't just rejected. Customs has applied individual charges to this book and sending it, and it's sending message to the customers. They wanted €50, and we get a couple of these a year, but only for our top customers. So imagine that if you ordered a book and then all of a sudden you get, a message from your customers, oh yeah, we want an extra 50 quid. Just the cost of that alone. I mean, you'd have a customer that would be like, "You're joking? I'm not paying that." And you've got to think how many other businesses this happens to, and then the cost that adds to that business, the loss in revenue and reputation as well. As you're saying, if you're trying to get EU customers, that doesn't really add to your reputation if someone writes from the EU on your website or review saying don't buy from this company, you're from the EU because you'll get an extra 50 euro charge applied to you. So, a quick look at the figures. The EU customer base is falling, which again it is. We've been over that, and that's a big hit to our economy. But I look down at my lukewarm Rees-Mogg mug, the smiling beneficiary. If I just believe, I will reach 1,000 EU customers soon. So, question: if you're exporting over 2,500 packages a year to the EU, is it still worth being British? Just take a look at becoming an Estonian e-citizen. Careful, it's so easy you might do it by accident. um, that is true. It is simple to offshore your e-commerce. And Estonia has one of the most internet savvy governments in the world. And I've actually said this before. I've highlighted this. It's not just Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, very, very digitally based. It is quickly becoming really the Silicon Valley states of the EU. They are putting a lot of money into really digital businesses. They are doing so much stuff over in those three countries. It's unbelievable. But there you go. So Estonia is one of the most internet savvy governments in the world. I know someone who does all his business there. States compete for successful exporters, which must further impact UK growth. And again, that's true. The states do compete for that. But when we're in the EU, that didn't really matter because, again, you had such an access to a large market. But now, and you've got this will, I think, just go on and go on. We've seen this more and more happen. You will see just more companies just go, well, why should we be in the UK? So back to it. The problem facing British growth isn't just competition from a single market designed to prosper the member states within it. It seems the British government is just not capable of bringing prosperity to the UK. Brexit is one of the causes of our current emergency. Brexit is one of the current causes of our emergency funding campaign. Click here to learn more about it if you can help us try and weather the storm. And again, there it is. Like I say, go do help support, a small business like this. They really do need, I think, help and support during this time. If you're in the UK, go buy a book from them. Um, you know, uh, do help support small businesses like this. But unfortunately, this is just not a one-off. I've been highlighting it constantly on this channel since 2016. And it's businesses constantly worried about what the consequences of Brexit were going to be and what they were going to have to face. And it was always, as I said, small businesses, most of it will suffer more for this. And here's the thing, if you want to grow your business, exporting into what used to be the single market was a fantastic way to do it, but now you can't do that. So the government's made it even harder to achieve growth, which apparently the government cares so much about. But there you go. So yeah, as I've said before, this is a problem being hit of businesses all up and down the country constantly. Like I say, please do go and support the company. They are, again, they're fantastic at what they do. Go show them some love, some support. Donate to their crowdfund if you can. Buy a book from them. That would be fantastic. Of course, if you're in the EU, you might have to pay a bit more for that. But please do go and help and support out these, small companies. But again, this is what I sort of do in my channel and highlight businesses like this who are suffering from the continued impact of Brexit. Remember, Brexiteers continuously said there's not going to be a problem at all. And of course, my favorite quote from Daniel Hannan, aka the brain of Brexit: "No one, only a fool, would leave the single market and customs union." So here we are. As always, once again, another business suffering the impacts of Brexit from something that was meant to have no consequences whatsoever and only bring us incredible upsides. So, as always, thank you very much for joining us today. Please do remember to click on the like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, down below, there are links to my Patreon page and an automation link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can, buy me coffee. And of course, as always, we'll see you all next time.